The morning sun filtered through the observation deck of Outpost Kepler 442, casting long shadows across the sterile corridors. Oliver stood by his door for the third year in a row, preparing himself for what had become an inexplicable ritual. Tap, tap, tap. 3 soft knocks, precisely at 0600 hours. Always 3, always the same rhythm, Daddy, came the small voice from outside. Oliver rubbed his tired eyes and opened the door. There she stood, the alien child with luminescent purple skin and crystalline eyes that sparkled like captured starlight. Her tentacle-like appendages clutched a small object, different each morning, always offered as a gift. "Good morning, Hazel," Oliver said softly, using the name he'd given her after the first week of these visits. She'd never offered her real name, if she even had one, in a language he could pronounce. The child, for what else could he call her, tilted her head in that peculiar way she always did. "Daddy home?" Oliver's heart clenched. 3 years of the same question. 3 years of the same answer. "I'm not your daddy, little one. I've told you this." But Hazel simply smiled, revealing rows of tiny, pearl-like teeth, and held up today's offering, a smooth stone that seemed to pulse within a light. Oliver took it, as he always did, and added it to the collection on his shelf. 67 stones, 43 twisted metal sculptures, 92 dried flowers from plants that shouldn't exist on this planet, over 1,000 mornings, over 1,000 gifts. "Come in," Oliver sighed, stepping aside. It was easier than arguing. Hazel skittered inside on her 4 legs, making her way to her usual spot by the window. She'd never go further than that, never touched anything else, just sat and watched the binary suns rise over the rust-colored landscape of Kepler-442b. Oliver prepared 2 cups of morning beverage, one with the strange nutrients he'd learned her species could consume, synthesized through trial and error. He set it beside her, and she wrapped 2 appendages around the cup, absorbing warmth. "Your settlement is 3 kilometers east," Oliver said, as he did every morning. "Why don't you go home to your real family?" Hazel's eyes dimmed slightly. "Daddy said wait here." Daddy coming back. The same answer. Always the same answer. Oliver had investigated, of course. He'd trekked to the Zirathi settlement multiple times over the past 3 years. He'd spoken with the elders, the warriors, the caretakers. They all knew Hazel. They all told the same story. Her father had been an explorer, one of the first to make contact with the human outpost. He'd disappeared during an expedition into the northern wastes, never returned. The Zirathi had their own ways of grieving, their own understanding of loss. They let Hazel come to the human outpost because, they said, it gave her purpose. It gave her hope, but Oliver knew the truth. They wouldn't speak. Hazel's father was dead. No one survived 3 years in the northern wastes. "Tell me about your daddy," Oliver said, settling into his chair. This was new. In 3 years, he'd never asked. Hazel's eyes brightened, all 4 of them focusing on Oliver with sudden intensity. "Daddy strong, Daddy brave. Daddy said humans are good. Said humans different, humans don't leave behind." Oliver felt something crack inside his chest. "What do you mean, don't leave behind?" "Zirathi way is strong way," Hazel explained, her voice taking on a singing quality as she recited what was clearly a taught lesson. "Weak go back to stars. Strong continue journey. But Daddy said humans carry weak. Humans refuse to leave behind. Daddy said that real strength." Oliver stared at this small alien child who'd been waiting 3 years for a father who would never return. 3 years of faith in humanity that her father had instilled in her. 3 years of believing that if she just waited at the human outpost, someone would help, someone would care, someone wouldn't leave her behind. "Hazel," Oliver said carefully, kneeling down to her level. What if your daddy can't come back?" Those crystalline eyes met his unblinking. "Then Daddy send someone else. Daddy promise I never alone. Promise humans don't leave behind." The weight of an entire species' reputation settled on Oliver's shoulders. He thought about refusing, about explaining reality, about teaching her the harsh lesson that sometimes promises couldn't be kept. Instead, he thought about why he'd come to this outpost. Humanity's first real attempt at coexistence with an alien species. The mission to prove humans could be trusted, could be better than their violent history suggested. Every morning for 3 years, this child had tested that mission. And every morning for 3 years, he'd failed her, sending her back to her settlement alone, treating her vigil as an inconvenience. Oliver reached out slowly, letting Hazel decide whether to accept the gesture. Her appendage wrapped around his hand, warm and trusting. "You're right," Oliver said, his voice thick. "Your daddy knew what he was talking about. Humans don't leave behind." He took a breath, making a decision that would change everything. Hazel, would you like to stay for breakfast? A real breakfast, not just drinks. And then maybe we could visit your settlement together. I'd like to meet your people properly, learn your customs, because if you're going to keep visiting, I should do this right. Hazel's entire body seemed to glow brighter, pulsing with bioluminescent joy. Daddy was right. Daddy was right. Humans good. Humans don't leave behind. Oliver felt tears prick his eyes. He didn't know what this would mean, being a guardian to an alien child, building bridges between species, honoring the faith of a father who'd believed in humanity enough to send his daughter to their door. But he knew one thing. Tomorrow morning at 0600 hours, when those 3 soft knocks came, he wouldn't answer with resignation, he'd answer with purpose. Because that's what humans did. They didn't leave behind, even when it was hard, even when it took 3 years to understand, especially then.